Hello, my paper peeps. Today I want to share a new scrapbook layout where I create a pocket envelope that can be used as ephemera or as a card envelope. Join me as I share how I create this pocket envelope that you can make for your layouts today. Now, this may not be new for some people, but for me it is because now I can make this in my craft room from scratch, and I don't need a punch board to create this. It's definitely been a game changer for me because I can make these in different sizes and I can use them either as card envelopes or just within my scrapbook journals. My crafting community and I are currently in the Java Journals, which is a DIY journal with a removable page binding. This system allows you to add or subtract pages, so if you make a mistake, you can actually always start over or just scrap the mistake and then replace it with a new sheet. It also has 4 signature booklets and removable spines that are temporary. And here I actually have several titles that can go onto the covers of the signatures themselves. This DIY also has removable spines that are temporary. Once you've completed the journal, you can remove them and then adhere journal art pages like you see here. Now, I have a few videos that show you different mixed media techniques using stencils, stamps, and varying mediums. But if getting messy is not your idea of fun, that's okay. Here is one way you can jazz up your scrapbook journals without pulling out that paintbrush. All you need is an envelope template like this. I'll put a link to this in the description box below. You'll need scissors, adhesive, eyelets and or brads, and I recommend double-sided adhesive if you plan on giving this away as note cards. I love to journal regularly, but sometimes I just want to add an art page to break up the text and make my journal look more like a scrapbook. Now this envelope essentially is made up of 2 shapes, a rectangle and a elongated octagon split in half, and 2 flaps that help you adhere the rectangles together. Now I've also included some note cards that fit perfectly within the envelope. And again, I will put both the note card and the envelope template in the description box below for you. And the great thing with this is that because it's digital, you can increase or decrease the size according to your needs. And you can use this template in all your scrapbooking. It's not just for the Java journals. But if you're interested in the Java journals, I'll put a link to that in the description box below. Now, all I did was just cut out these templates. You'll need 2 of the rectangle-shaped backgrounds. And I've made it so that they're 2 different colors, so you have an option between one or the other. And the way I've printed it out is so that the backside is meant to just be blank. Now, once you've cut these up, I highly recommend that you use your scoreboard. Because the flaps are so narrow, I think it just gives you a better fold. And when you do score them, err on the side of the largest portion of that envelope, which is the rectangle side, so that you don't see that dark part of the envelope there. And then with this octagon, I didn't split it in half. I wanted that portion of the card to be just a little shorter. It's up to you. You can make it as long or as short as you want. Now you'll see here, these are the flaps that you are going to be placing adhesive on. And the flaps will join just like this. The top portion here is the portion that we're going to cut off because I'm actually going to use this as an envelope. It's not just aesthetic in my scrapbook journals. So I want to actually place a note card in there. And so one of the things I like to use is double-sided adhesive. And this one is a 1/4 inch thick. And because the other panels here are quite narrow, I use a double-sided adhesive that's 1/8 of an inch. Now it's not necessary. You can just use glue, but I just find it double-sided adhesive just keeps the envelope together, especially if you want to put a bunch of stuff in there. So now since we're going to be using this as an envelope, I'm just going to cut that one top portion off. Now the closure we're going to be doing is called a clasp closure, and the clasp secures the contents of the envelope. Kind of gives you that idea that you're storing important documents. Now this is obviously opposite to adhesive closing envelopes, but I like this one because again, you can open and close it as many times as you want. Now, With this clasp closure, here's the issue, is that if you have a Crop-a-dile, it's not going to work here. It'll work for one portion, but for the actual clasp that you see on the main body of the envelope, it's impossible to get that, to punch that hole down there. Now, the reason why in this example it actually worked is because these are faux closures. I ended up just placing the eyelets in there and then just gluing them onto the envelope. So it gives you the look that it's this clasp closure, but really it actually, you can't even open it. And that was my dilemma. When I first created this, I thought, oh, this is not going to work because the depth is not, it's not long enough to reach the main part of the envelope. So what I did was I pulled out this old We Are Memories Keeper eyelet system. I honestly thought I was going to, I was actually I was thinking of donating this because I'm like, I never use this. Well, thank goodness I actually kept it because it is the only system that I have right now in the house that allowed me to create this clasp closure on this envelope. If you actually have this system at home, you'll be lucky because you'll be able to do this. Now, if you don't have it, it's not a big deal. You can always use brads in place of eyelets for this example. Or you can do a faux type of envelope if you decide you just want it for aesthetic in your scrapbook journals. Now for the flap closure here, I'm just going to use double-sided adhesive, and you have two options here. One is you can either just place it directly on the inside of this back part of the envelope like this, which is ideal, or you can just place it on the back here. And I'm going to do it that way just for simplicity's sake. I'm just going to place it on the back because this is, again, not something I'm going to create to give as a card away. This one is actually just aesthetic within my scrapbook journal. So I'm just going to throw that in there just like that. And then you just adhere the two rectangles together. You also have another choice here, is you can just use this as a flap, and that's another reason why I added a little bit of decor to the flap there, because I know a lot of people don't have either Crop-a-dile or more advanced systems to create this. And so if you don't have that, then you can just leave it as an envelope like this and then place maybe Velcro on the back if you need it to open. But if you're going to use a brad or an eyelet, this is where it gets a little fun. Now, I got a little overzealous when it came to creating this because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is actually working. Like this is looking really, really good. And so I ended up punching my holes. Oh, which reminds me, this is one of my favorite scrapbooking tips and tricks, is using a sticky note. This is what I call my sticky note buddy. If you have little pieces that you need to punch and you can't get your fingers in there, then you just use one of these sticky note buddies to help you. I actually have a few videos on little scrapbooking tips and tricks that I think you would be interested in. So if you're interested in more of these little tricks, I will put a link to those videos at the end of this video. So once you have those holes punched, go ahead and grab your eyelets. And before you do any of that, before you actually put together the rest of this envelope, one of the things I did wrong was I got so excited that I'm like, okay, I'm just going to throw this all in. Okay, so I'm actually going to cover up that image because I really want to use this clasp closure. And then I'm just going to just decide where exactly I want to place the eyelets. Okay, since that Crop-a-dile, obviously you can see here, it does not fit and it won't reach that hole. I'm just going to use this old We Are Memories Keepers eyelet positioner, and thank goodness I have it. Because I don't know what I would have done. I'm making this video, I'm like, uh-oh, I can't place this eyelet in there. Anyways, I'm wondering if you can still get it. I'm going to check that out, and if you can still get this, I'll put this system in the link below. But for now, you just want to create a hole And then you just hammer it into place using the positioner. And then obviously the top portion here you can get in with your Crop-a-dile. And then place the eyelet in. This part is easy. Okay, now you want to put the two rectangles together. And I have another tip for you. Because positioning these can sometimes be a little tricky, because double-sided adhesive is permanent. I mean, all adhesive is permanent, but I'm talking double-sided adhesive. Actually, once you lay that down, it's not coming off. So in order to slow down the adhesion rate, I like to use glue stick. And what I'll do is I'll just put a little bit on top of the adhesive tape. And then what it does, it allows you to play around with your project. Because if you don't place it on there properly, if you need to realign things, it doesn't adhere right away. It actually gives you a little bit of wiggle room. Yeah, that one is by far one of my best scrapbooking tips and tricks for the year. And when you're thinking of clasp closures, I found that these floss threads are by far the best. They're thick enough to withstand you opening and closing the clasp, but then also thin enough to get between the envelope and the actual clasp itself. I find that hemp cord is way too thick, and then thread is just too thin. And then you can place one of these note cards inside as a place to maybe place some secret thoughts that you want hidden. Or I love to give coffee gift cards. And you just slip that in with a note of encouragement or a note saying, I'm thinking about you. Maybe we can go grab a coffee one of these days. And yeah, I find that it's just a perfect little envelope just for that. And so here you have a beautiful scrapbook layout. There's no journaling here. You can just add your photos, and it just allows you to add more photos and a little bit more interest to your scrapbook journals. And again, what I love about this is that it does get bulky if you start to add a bunch of these envelopes, but you can always remove the pages if you want to journal. And if, say, it gets too bulky with all these envelopes, well, just remove more pages. That's what I love about this. And I think that's why I love this system so much, because I can actually create more for this journal and send it to my crafting community, and they won't feel so bad that they missed out on something, because they'll be like, oh, I have room to add these new inserts into the journal. Now in this journal, I have a lot of little mini sayings like full of faith in caffeine, strong like my coffee, grateful for today. But I also have some quotes that I love to add to my journals. And a lot of them are proverbs, some of them are from famous people. And I know this is going off the beaten path, but I just wanted to kind of throw it out there to you. One of the quotes that I added in the journal was from Billy Graham. And it says, this one really hit home. This one kind of made me think, and I just felt like, you know what? I want to put this in the journal. The reason why I have a lot of these quotes is because this is the Java journals. It's coffee. Coffee is what keeps people going some days. So I thought, well, you know what? What characteristic would be good to kind of focus in on in this journal? And I thought, well, coffee, we always talk about how strong coffee is. So I thought, oh, that'd be perfect. Let's talk about strength. And so all the quotes really talk about strength. And so the one from Billy Graham that hit home for me and that really challenged me and made me think, was this one. And it says, "Tears shed for self are tears of weakness, but tears shed for others are a sign of strength." That one really hit home for me and made me really think. And I don't know how many times I've shed a tear for myself when somebody's wronged me. And to actually shed a tear for someone who has wronged me, like to actually look at the other person and see and feel maybe remorse for where they're coming from, instead of always going, oh, it's all about me, my pain, my this, my that. Anyways, I thought it was just interesting. And I just wanted to kind of throw that out to you and see what your thoughts are on what that looks like to you, shedding tears for those who've hurt you, really. I found it interesting. So, anyways, I digress. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you want more tips and tricks on how to jazz up those journals, and if you're really wanting some journaling inspiration or quotes that might move you and might inspire you to think about things in your life, then join my journaling community. I actually will put a link at the bottom here. And I do send out journal prompts on a quarterly basis, just to encourage you to think about life and about the meaning of life and what we're called to do in this world. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a fantastic weekend and week, and I hope to see you in my other videos. Take care, and we'll see you there. Bye. Oh, and if you want to, and another thing, if you like to create this DIY journal, I'll put a link to that in the description box below. And then I'll also put a link to the playlist that shows you how to create all this and all the mixed media that I used and all the other things that I used in this journal. Until I see you in my other videos, take care, and we will see you then. Bye.